Hi, I'm Tim and this is Timberway Designs. In this series of videos we take 10 common rocks that anybody can find, I cut them in half, and we look at what's on the inside of each rock. These 10 rocks here were donated by a viewer from Washington State named Julie. We're going to cut them in half, take a close look at them. Let's turn the camera around and we'll look at them before we take them downstairs. So let's take a quick look at these rocks that Julie sent me. So looking at them, from the get-go, they look mostly like church, jaspers, and quartzes, and different mixtures here. So start with this one here. Got kind of a bluish grayish, almost a bluish tint going on here. It's kind of like a jasper. Let's get it wet. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty. Don't see a lot of blue rocks. All right, you got this one here. Kind of looks like a jasper. Yeah, that one looks like it's got some blue. I don't know. I think a lot of these rocks look like they got something, kind of exposure rind on them, and the insides might surprise us when we start cutting them in half. Yeah, this one. Let's see. There. Ooh. That one's got some pattern. That might be interesting. Look at that one. Kind of a brownish, quartzy thing going on there. Now, I'm not from Washington State. Never found rocks out there, so I'm just kind of guessing at the composition of these rocks here. Got a little orangish going on there. You got a nice river-worn, quartzy looking rock here. Now, they find agates and stuff out there, so like this one here, you never know what's inside these things till we cut them open. Let's see, that one looks a little beat up, but I don't know, they're tough. Let's see what we got. Okay. I'm really curious to see what's inside these rocks here. Really curious. So let's see what we got here. Get that one wet. That's got some stuff going on there. Okay. Now she said there's a couple in there she sent. They started the tumbling process on them that didn't quite finish. So this is probably one of them here. Got some nice pattern going on there. Right. Probably don't need to get this one wet because it already looked wet. Yeah. I like the crisscross patterns in there. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Looks like a little brachiated. Some chunkage going on right there. Well, that's going to be curious. And then we got this one. Another, looks like it's almost a bluish green color. Let's see. Yep. All right. So I'm going to take these rocks and we'll take these rocks downstairs on my 10-inch trim saw, and we're going to cut them in half, and we're going to see what is actually inside of them. So I'll see you down on the saw. All right, down here on my 10-inch high-tech trim saw, and I like to show you before I get started. This is a continuous rim diamond blade here, and it's got a metal body with a kind of a alloy brass or whatever encrusted with diamonds going all the way around. This is a grinding wheel, so I'm rubbing my thumb on it right now, and it's absolutely not sharp. It cuts by grinding, so don't even cut the glove. So don't worry about me cutting my fingers on the saw. It's not going to happen. And the other thing is when I make these cuts here, I speed the cut up by 7 times. So if you're worried about my fingers crossing in front of the blade, I got plenty of time to be moving my fingers around. So let's start cutting some rocks here. Oh, the other thing I do before I cut rocks is I dress it up with a coarse grinding wheel to expose more diamonds. 3 times through usually does a pretty good job. All right, first up is this one here. Got some good looking pattern in there. And I think I'm gonna cut it, well, I want to get some of that pattern though. I'm gonna split it right down the middle. Well, that one was pretty hard. It took a while. Episode 37, let's look at the first rock here. Okay. Kind of looks like on the inside like it looks on the outside. All right, and then we're going to open these up upstairs. We'll talk about them a little bit more in length. Okay, next up is this one here. Liking that pattern there. I'm just going to take it right down the middle again. Okay. Ooh. Now there's some contrast there. I'm looking over the camera right now. This is really interesting. Yeah, you'd never know that looking at the outside. Okay. This little guy here. I'll go ahead and split him down the middle too. Got. Okay. Kind of about the same. Well, the way these rocks are feeling right now, they're all going to make some really pretty cabochons. So Julie picked out some good ones for me to cut here. Another one, I'm going to take it right down the center. Okay, that's the outside. There, ooh, it's got some green going on in there. Nice pattern. Okay. And this one here. Let's see. I'm gonna take this side off here. Alright. Ooh. It's definitely got a rind or something growing on the outside there. It's a lot different on the inside. Got this greenish thing here. I'm going to go ahead and just slab off the side here. So I'm imagining the inside is going to look like the outside. Ooh. Kind of starry looking pattern there. Okay. Alright, this one here. Split it right down the middle. Alright, let's see what we got. Okay. Nice pattern. Alright, got the blue one here. And let me think here for a second. I'm going to cut this one right in half. Right down the middle here. Okay, I'm excited about this one. Let's see what the inside looks like. Oh, yeah. I'm liking that. Okay, so I cut it down the middle. That way I can go either way. I'll cut a slab off this. And I wanted to get the stripes in there. Alright, another one here. Split that one down the middle too. That little chunk flew off at the end. Let's see what we got. Ooh, okay, nice stripe. Nice and, yeah. And this one here. I'm going to go ahead and just split it. Do we have an agate here? Nope. Kind of like a grayish pattern going on in there. limonite. I'll put that word down below. It's kind of a yellowish staining, and we find it on the rocks here in Wisconsin. All right, so Julie sent me these 10 rocks. She also sent a couple other little surprises here. She sent me 2 thunder eggs, so right here. So I think she said she buys these in her to play around with them, cut them open, see what's inside. So we're gonna cut this one first. It's got kind of a face going on there. And actually, before we do that, I'm gonna touch this up a little bit. So those of you who don't know, a thunder egg is kind of like a mud ball with an agate in the center, to explain it in layman's terms. I think they usually find these out west. So I'm going to cut this one right here, see what's inside. All right, I'm curious. Ooh, that's cool. Okay, and I'm not going to make any cabochons out of here. These are just for entertainment purposes here. So let's cut this big one open here. Right about there, I'm thinking. All right, let's see what was in the big one. Ooh, waterline. That is so cool. Well, thanks, Julie, for sending a couple of thunder eggs along. It was fun. All right, we're going to gather up the rocks and the thunder eggs, and we're going to take them upstairs, and we're going to talk about them, look at them a little closer. See you upstairs. All right, I got these rocks laid out here, and we're going to look at them. We'll start at the top and kind of look at them a little closer here. So let me rinse the crumbs off. So we had this greenish rock here with some white spots. Looked like it had some blue going on in there. Look at that. Now all these rocks seem fairly hard, so I'm thinking we're going to get some nice shiny cabochons out of these rocks here. Yeah, that's kind of, I like the pattern in there. And there's the outside again. Now this was a surprise rock here. I wasn't expecting the insides of this one. So here's the outside, kind of a brownish. You know, you can see a little bit of the pattern right there. Look at that. It's almost kind of like a conglomerate type deal going on in there. I love the gray pattern in there. I don't think it's petrified wood or anything. I'm not sure because, like I said, I don't pick rock out there. So Julie probably know more of what they are than I would. But like I said, another hard rock. Got some beautiful patterns in there. So this is starting to be one of my favorites right here. All right, got the blue one here. There's the outside. Now, I was kind of fighting myself whether I wanted to split it, you know, make a longer slab or just cut it in half. And, you know, I can work with that, but I wanted that pattern there. And I could have got it going lengthwise, but I think this will work out okay. But I love the color on this thing. You know, some different stuff in there, but the blue is just, you know, I get a feeling this is going to be probably my favorite cab right here. Now this one here was one she said she had tumbled a couple of them, and this is one of them here. And it pretty much looked on the inside like it does the outside, but I like the lines running through there. So I'll try to incorporate these into the cabochon somehow. A few pits I see, but we can always work around those. I thought maybe this was like a little agate looking rock, but I didn't ever see any fortifications outside. But this is a well-worn rock, and it's got kind of color. I think what I say, limonite staining on the outside. That's that yellow stuff you're looking at. Well, there's the inside. Nice smooth cut, kind of a grayish looking rocks with some pattern in there. So a few pits I see, but that's what happens sometimes. Let me get this one here. Had this white stripe running through here, and you look at these, they're kind of scary looking because you think, oh man, that's going to be full of fractures, you know, with the pits and everything. No, nice. They'll utilize this white stripe in the cabochon, but I can see that one's got pits and cracks in it too. Yeah, I really don't see those when I'm downstairs cutting them, but now when I get up here, that, you know, they become more apparent. But we'll figure something out. Get this little one here. Now you kind of see a little bit of the green on the outside here. You can really see it on the inside. Right there, there's some green. And I see some pits in there too. But yeah, if I go on this side, try to get that green. Now, I don't know if my lighting's different downstairs, but you could really see that green downstairs when I was cutting it. I mean, I got 4 lights on up here, and you'd think it would show up great up here. You can kind of see it there, but we'll incorporate it in the cab somehow. This little on here, nice pattern. Yeah, busy rock. It almost looks like a calico. Yeah, that ought to look pretty interesting. This one. It's another one. You look at it, you go, oh, orange rock. Cool. And you cut it open and it's gray. Orange on the outside. So see if that lasts or stays on the edge. We'll incorporate that in there somehow. Like I said, though, all these rocks are really hard, so I'm pretty hopeful that we'll get some really shiny cabs out of them. And this one here had that dark streak running through there, kind of mottled, different colors. There's the inside. Nice smooth cut. I see a few pits, but nothing I'm worried about. Then I had the 2 bonus rocks that Julie sent. So thunder eggs, like I said, they're kind of a mud ball with an agate in the center of them. And they come from, you know, there's different places out there. But this one here. It had some stuff, but you couldn't really tell what was going on out here. But look at that. You can almost see inside of it. It's a little crumbly on the edges here. That's so cool. And then the bigger one. Yeah, look at that. And then look at that. So I guess you would call that waterline on the inside here. Now I'm not making cabs out of these 2 thunder eggs here. These were just, you know, she sent those along as a little extra, which I think was kind of cool to cut them open and look inside of them. So yeah. Okay. So I'll take these 10 rocks here and I'll make a cabochon out of each one of them, and you'll see those on episode 38. So now I'm going to clear this out of the way, and I got the cabochons from episode 36, Lake Superior rocks, and we're going to look at those. So just bear with me for a few minutes here. All right, we moved those wet rocks out of the way, those Washington State rocks that Julie sent me. And we're going to look at the rocks from episode 36. This was the first rock I cut, and this was the last rock I cut. We'll start with this one here. This I said was schist. I'll put the spelling down below so you don't think I'm saying something else. And it had this white rind on it. I mean, I thought it looked like that on the inside. And I thought that was going to be really cool. Well, it also had a bunch of fractures on the inside, and I kind of had issues with those. Here's what it looked like after it was cut. Still looks pretty cool. I I was kind of leaning towards granite, but I've never seen granite stack up like that. So I'm going to stick with the original identification. So here is the cabochon. It made an actually beautiful cabochon. Now, because of the fractures and the fractures I did not see, this was the third attempt to make a shape. I started out with a bigger, broader shape here, and it just kept getting smaller, and I ended up with this teardrop, which it worked out pretty well. And it did not want to stay on the dop stick. The thing fell off like 4 times. I don't know what the deal is with that. So there's the cab. And there's original rock. A little difference there, I'm thinking. But I think we did well on the cab. Now, like I said in the video, this one here I was really interested in. And I thought this was 2 different rocks here and here, but they're pretty much the same. One's just a little greener or thicker than the other, but when I cabbed it. So there's the inside. Now, I was really concerned about the amount of pits with this mineral running on the inside, which I thought maybe quartz, but it's got all eyes and stuff in there, so it could be prehnite. But I didn't see any copper in it. Usually with prehnite, you'll see some copper. So, but here's the cabochon. I was able to cut into it, and I found some mineral in the center here with no pits. It made an absolutely gorgeous cabochon, I thought. There's the back. There's the front. Decent shine. A really good shine on the prehnite. And then the host rock is okay shine, but it'll work. So there's the original rock, and there's the cabochon I made out of it. All right, this one here, I was calling nice, but after working it on the cabbing machine, I'm probably going to switch to granite, because nice usually is not chunky like this down in here. You can see the crystals, the big, large crystals and stuff. So I'm probably going to lean more towards a quartz. And that's, yeah. So here's cabochon I made. Came out really shiny. I like the pattern on it. Here's the back. Here's the front. And there's cabochon and original rock I made out of it. So this one here, I was really interested in because I thought it was going to be this color all the way through. Nope. It was white on the inside, but still, I ain't complaining, because, man, this thing is gorgeous on the inside. Had the white with the little eyes in it, nice streak of green and some fortifications in there. And it's not an agate. It's some kind of jasper, I'm believing. And the only thing is, on the rock I used, this bottom part, I didn't put any of that in there because it was just full of pits. I said this side looks a little solid. Anyway, here is the cabochon I made. Isn't that pretty? Nice shine. I got all the elements in there. There's the back. There's the front. So there's the cabochon. So there's the original rock, and there's the cab I made out of it. This one here, I probably shouldn't have put this in the thing, knowing a little better. I thought, these were just healed fractures, but this thing was full of cracks. And this is another one I had issue with. I wanted to incorporate the whole length of this rock right here. So here's the cabochon, and this is another one I had to change lanes on this one with the shape and everything, because it kept cracking and breaking off on me when I was trimming it, when I was cabbing it. It was just a real chore to get this one done. So I actually had a little band of hematite right there off the end of my finger. I don't know if you can see that or not. So there's the back. There's the front. So this one here, it come out okay. The shine, you know, so. I was kind of not disappointed, but I was kind of surprised I wasn't able to incorporate. And I couldn't do anything with this side because it was kind of thin for a bigger cab. But there they are. There's the original rock, and there's cabochon. All right, this one here is quartz with some red jasper inclusions in it, and it had some other stuff going on there. This is a cute little rock. Like I said, I'll pick up the small ones if they look good enough, and if I can, you know, pick them up if they're thick enough to make a cab, I'll do it. And this one made an absolutely gorgeous cabochon. There's cab right there. Nice shine. Got a cool pattern. Yeah. So that was yeah, kind of liking it. So then we had this piece of chert here. Usually I don't pick this stuff up because it's tiny. It breaks up pretty quick up on the beach, but every once in a while you get a big enough chunk to cab. And it wasn't super detailed or any interesting pattern on the inside, but man, it made a really pretty cabochon. Look at the shine on that. I mean, this shine was like this even on the 1200 grit, which is kind of wild. There's the back. There's the front. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the shine we get on these cherts here. So there's the original rock, and there's the cab I made out of it. Little piece of banded ironstone here. And this stuff was like neon red when you see it on the beach laying in the sun. This is wild. And usually it's banded with hematite, but this had quartz and some other stuff in there. I think it's got one little strip of hematite running above this band right here. And there's cabochon I made out of it. I thought it come out quite well. Good shine. There's the back. There's the front. There's the original rock, and there is the cabochon I made out of it. All right, this was the surprise rock here. This piece of mignoloidal, almost got a conglomerate, some rocks and stuff stuck in it. And then when we cut that one open, we saw this. Some fortifications going on in there. I like the pinkish color, some pipes on the outside. So here is the cabochon I made out of it. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's pink too, which I think is kind of rare. I've never found a pink agate. There's the back. There's the front. It's got some of the host rock in there, plus the agate part. And then I got this piece here, and then another chunk that I can make 2 more cabs out of. Now this one didn't have the fortifications in it. I went ahead and used the piece off of this and made a cab, trying to maximize the cabochons I can make out of this thing. So there is the cabochon, and there is the original rock it came out of. We got this piece of argillite here. And I thought this was just a black stripe, and in fact it was a black crack. And I had a lot of issues with this one too, with fractures. And I had to change the stone twice on it, the design. So here's the cabochon I made. Pretty decent shine. There's the fracture right there. There's the back. Here's the front. I think I can kind of see the pattern there. These, when you polish them, they get really dark. You know, you'd think it would stay that color right there. I guess, yeah, kind of, maybe, I don't know. But you can kind of see the pattern there, but not really. So there is the original rock. And there's the cabochon I made out of it. So all these rocks here will end up on the Etsy page, except I'm not going to put this one on, and I'm not going to put this one on. So these two here are going to end up in dud packs. Everything else will go on the Etsy page. So I'll try to get them on there as soon as I can. So yeah, I really like them. My favorite was probably this one and this one for sure. But I really like this one too. Let me know what your favorites were in the comments down below. I always appreciate the input. So yeah, there's the cabochons from episode 36. Well, I hope you enjoyed the rocks that Julie donated, cut in half. There's some pretty cool ones in there. You know which ones are my favorite. And then the cabochons from the previous episode. There were some surprises, especially the yellow rock on the outside that was white on the inside, and amygdaloidal that was actually an agate, pink agate. Who knew? So yeah, kind of liked them, and I was impressed with everything. Let me know what your favorites were. Let me know what your favorites were on the rocks I cut in half from Washington State and agates I showed you here. Or I mean, not the agates, the cabochons I showed you here. So for all you viewers and especially the subscribers, thanks for coming along and watching this content. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. Just push the button down below. It's absolutely free. And then once you do that, if you could slide over and give me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate that, because I guess the analytics out there so more people can find this content. And then you can share it, you can push the bell button, and I think there's a hyperlink. I haven't heard much about that, but I think it's on the mobile device, so give me a hyperlink if you can. It kind of helps me out a little bit too. I'm gonna put a video up. I'm gonna put number 5 video here. That's the first video I actually made cabochons on from episode 4. And then YouTube will put a video over here. I don't know which one they put on, one of mine, hopefully. So the rocks I cut here, we'll make cabochons out of them, and you'll see them on the next episode. So thanks for coming along. I really appreciate it. That's all I got, and I'll catch you later.